Good afternoon, evening, whatever it is. It's hard to keep track. Hey, Patrick. Welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your Business Diva, Melanie Collette, and we are coming to you live from beautiful Cape May, New Jersey. And is about to be snow-covered Cape May, New Jersey, I believe. We're about to get a snow apocalypse from what I hear. Welcome, Deontay, Scott, Levon, Jamie, Susan. Hi. We are coming to you live via SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. By the by, and I am appreciative. I haven't given them a shout out in quite some time of the one and only Sackhead Sean Lewis and Dan Butcher for giving me this opportunity to be on their networks. You guys totally rock, and love you to pieces. You're great. So I just thought I'd mention that because I never mention them. Hey, Doug. Hey, Jerome. Now, my guest today, and they should have called in by now, and this happened last time they were supposed to be on, and I hope it didn't happen again. They're on a different time zone, and last time, we weren't clear about the time zones, and I'm just hoping that that's not what happened again this time because they haven't called yet. Carol Donahue, welcome. Carol Donahue, if you guys saw my video the other night and I mentioned Tim Donahue, who I was congratulating on my way out to go see, that is the lovely wife who has the not so easy task of dealing with my big brother, whom I absolutely adore. But anyway, and she's like a rock star runner, by the way. I don't know what her actual age is. She's got the body of a 20-year-old. Kills me. But she's an inspiration. So, and I think it's her first time here, so I had to give her a shout out. Chris Lewis, hi. Okay, so, actually, before I'll tell you who my guest is before I move on, who I'm hoping is still going to call in and didn't get the time zone mixed up. Pierre and Christine Joseph, they are the president and vice president of Business Recharge by the book, and you know what book that is we're talking about. They're going to join me today to talk about how to take your business to a whole new level. So I'm excited about that. Tomorrow, for the first time, I'm going to have someone on that's going to talk about girl stuff, which like never happens. I'm going to have, tomorrow's guest is Kesha Denise, and she's the owner of Funky Flair Boutique, which is a brick and mortar boutique out of Atlanta. And she's also the host of Convos with Kesha, discussing all things girl power, fashion, business, and entrepreneurial. So I'm excited that I'm going to have her on the show tomorrow. And why is that gross? Deontay Johnson. For those of you who are listening via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio, I'm, of course, also streaming live on Facebook. And so you'll hear me occasionally giving a shout out to the people live on Facebook. Hey, Bill. Hey, Fred. Deontay Johnson, why is that gross? I don't understand why that's gross. But anyway. So I'm going to have her tomorrow. So apparently, I was going to talk about other like boring, like, money, news stuff. But apparently the president and one of his former strategists are fighting. Steve Bannon. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's not very well, no, I'm kidding. But they're having like some kind of conflict or I don't think to call it a spat is quite big enough. I mean, it seems to me that this is probably all out war. Cornelius, Keith, hello. In Deontay Johnson's estimation, he's done. I don't know about that. Deontay, of course, who I mentioned from time to time, is the president of the Black Conservative Federation. And if you are a Black conservative and interested in doing things in the movement, you should definitely check out their Facebook page. You can do that by looking up the Black Conservative Federation or Deontay Johnson. He's everywhere. So I thought I figured that out. The kid's got a bright future if he behaves himself. So, Keith Little, I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello. Another fantastic guy. I'm so fortunate to be around have such great people supporting me. I am. Oh boy, I missed the Breitbart statement. Doug in the chat says that there was a Breitbart statement. I must have been doing show prep or on the phone with Deontay and missed that. But I didn't hear that. I think oh no, I heard the statement by POTUS. Yeah, I heard Trump's statement. I have not heard a rebuttal from Steve Bannon yet on that. So that's in the news, and that should keep us busy. Absolutely, Carol Donahue, you got it, sugar. Here's what concerns me about the whole thing. The Republican Party is splintered enough. Like, we really don't need this. Like, in my opinion, just as a party, it's like the last thing we need. I was going to talk about immigration and DACA, but of course, you know, I got a text message from people. I got a text message, a message from someone with a copy of the president's tweet, and I was like, ah, wonderful. So we have that going on. We have the snowpocalypse going on, and we do have a budget coming up, and I believe by Friday we need to have a new budget for the government, or it'll shut down. And the Democrats are trying to hold out on DACA. Here's the thing about DACA, and the DACA is that executive order DREAM Act thing that Barack Obama did that allowed, hello, Ron Edwards, hi. That's what allowed the so-called dreamers, the kids who were brought here by their parents, to stay in the country under certain circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. So the Democrats want them to be able to, basically want to give them amnesty. And the deal is they're trying to get that with the budget. This is the kind of stuff I hate. And of course, the Republicans and President Trump would like a nice, clean bill, as it should be. It's the budget. But, you know, Democrats are trying to leverage it for DACA. And not for nothing. And hi, Debbie Ann, and hi, Chuck Davis. Thank you for joining us. Not for nothing, here's the problem. And this is what I feel like liberals need to understand about the Republican position on this. I think by and large, many of us can like empathize with those kids. Well, they're not kids, they're adults now, with their position on some level. I think the part that we don't appreciate is that it's not presented to us as, listen, we realize we were brought here under not so awesome circumstances, and that, you know, you were gracious enough to provide us with free education our entire lives and loads of other financial benefits. And if you would be so kind as to let us stay, we'd really appreciate it. Which in my mind should be their position. But instead their position is, we deserve to be here, even though our parents snuck us in. And that's not the position you take when you're breaking someone's law. And not for nothing, when you grow up, MSN's audience isn't big enough. But not for nothing, you know, when you break somebody's law, when you're a full-grown adult, okay, fine, you were brought here when you were a kid, but when you found out you were illegal, what did you do? I mean, what did you do then? Did you do anything responsible, or did you just assume that you could continue to take advantage of our laws? I feel like you assumed you could continue to take advantage, and you're not approaching it with the level of humility that you should be. I'm sorry. I'm sure, you know, any liberals that see this are probably going to think that I'm being, you know, cold and heartless. But to me, even if it wasn't your fault, when you find out that you're violating someone else's sovereignty, someone else's laws, and that basically you were given something that you were not entitled to, there should be some contrition there. There shouldn't be this sense of, you owe me. It's not cool. Hi, Owen. Hi, John. So that's the situation there. Now, one thing that I do want to mention that the Trump administration is working on in regard to immigration is that they're looking into considering new regulations to put a halt on the 1B visa extensions. And basically what that did was allow people to, indefinitely keep renewing their visas, their work visas. And this was designed so that U.S. employers could employ foreign workers in some specialty occupations and things like that. But it's ridiculous, and the Trump administration is looking into putting a stop to that. And I have no problem with that. And add to that chain immigration and the lottery that they have going on as well. I mean, it's ridiculous, and we need to tighten it up. Need to tighten it up. I'm sorry, we just do. Okay, we're up against a break, and my guest did not call in. That makes me think that they forgot I was on Eastern Standard Time, which is a sin. Which means you guys gonna have to hear me like talk about stuff for the next talk about financial stuff for the next few minutes, which is fine with me. But right now we're up against the break. So you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we'll be right back after the break.
Having a pro-American president will reap tremendous benefits in the new year and beyond. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, for decades, the United States has been taking it upside the head as the United Nations did everything possible to undermine American interests and sovereignty. Whether it was Agenda 21, which is designed to directly vanquish our national sovereignty and personal unalienable rights, or to bash us for acknowledging Israel's right to exist and thrive as the only nation in the Middle East that even comes close to allowing freedom for all who live in what God has called the apple of his eye. But when UN Ambassador Nikki Haley announced that the U.S. will slash spending on the United Nations by $285 million, that to me is indicative of an administration that is willing to put American interest first. Although I personally think and hope that further cuts to the United Nations are necessary. That should serve as a warning to nations around the world that America is no longer their ATM machine, and a source of encouragement to my fellow Americans who will benefit from now having a pro-American president working on our behalf. Happy New Year. God bless you. God bless America, and may America bless God. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. And my guests have not called in, and I haven't heard from them. And I totally fear that what happened the last time kind of slipped their minds that I was on East Coast time, and so we made sure that we really emphasized it last time when we rescheduled it, but I have not heard from them yet. So they may or may not call, and I did just shoot them an email, and I'm looking at some of the comments, in the chat, and Doug says, I loathe porous borders and constantly post videos on Twitter by Obama. Right, Clinton supporting borders. It's very true. Supporting our borders being closed. And I don't know. All of the arguments all of the arguments for keeping the borders open makes no sense. I was thinking about it on my way home because I knew I was going to talk about this on the show, and I thought to myself, it's just like if you felt sorry for a homeless person, right? Let's just say you saw a homeless person out on the street, and sight unseen, without knowing their history, without knowing if they had any diseases, without knowing anything, you just brought them into your house. It would be the same principle. Like, you see that they're homeless, you see that they're hungry, you see that they're in need, but you do no due diligence to protect yourself when you bring them into your home. And that just does not make any sense. And that is, in essence, the kind of open border immigration policy that liberals want. And you see how it's affecting other countries. So, like, why I don't completely get why you would want that. And let me explain something else. This is somebody who's worked in the public school system. When those students come here and enroll in our schools, they're entitled to a free education. And that is, let's see, I believe the total for that is something like $16,000 on average per student. We can't ask their status as a school. You're not allowed to ask a student's status, like whether or not they're legal. But I would suffice it to say that if a 15-year-old kid comes to your classroom and doesn't speak any English, probably not legal. So, and then you have the expense. I feel like I wrote an article on this for the Horn News, and I just don't remember, but I think that I may have. But when you think about that and the other services that they tend to receive, and they'll say, liberals will say, well, it's not the illegals that are receiving it, it's their kids. To me, I don't see how you make that distinction. And even the argument that, well, we can't punish kids for what their parents did. And the way I see it is that it's not us punishing the kids, it's the parents who put their kids in that situation. I mean, if you want to really put the responsibility where it belongs. Am I wrong for that? Am I like way off base in thinking that it's the person's responsibility who brought the kid here? It's their fault that they could possibly get thrown out of the country. It's their fault that they're stressed out about their future. Am I? Because whenever I hear that, they'll be like, our country needs to do this and needs to do that because, it's our fault they're stressed out about their future. I'm like, no, it's the people's fault who brought them here that they're stressed out about their future. You broke the law and then you lied to your kids about what their status was. How is that our fault? And I know it sounds good. Listen, anybody who knows me personally will tell you I'm one of the most compassionate people there are. But I'm also compassionate toward Americans. I'll give you another example. As a public school teacher, we have to get a TB test. We have to get tested for TB as public school teachers. Everywhere I've ever gone, we have to get tested for TB. Now, you may say to yourself, like I said to the nurse who tested me the last time I got tested, I said, why? I said, I thought that the United States was pretty much done with TB. Aren't we kind of finished with TB? And she said to me very directly, she's like, oh yeah, we are. But because of the immigrant population, she didn't say illegals, she had to be politically correct. But she said because of the immigrant population, some teachers pop up with TB. So literally the government knows that some of us are being put at risk. Teachers are being put at risk. Your kids are being put at risk. Because TB, I think everybody gets vaccinated, but I guess as grown-ups, I don't know how long the vaccination lasts or whatever, but they always test us for TB to make sure that we're not carrying TB. And I've been teaching for like 7 years now, and every school I've ever taught at, you always get tested for TB. Now, and now I've never had a nurse, and I said to her, well, does anybody ever come up test positive? She said, yeah, all the time. But usually in populations that are high immigrant populations. I've never worked in a school that was a really high immigrant population, but She said all the time, and she mentioned some specific places. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus and think and kind of put out there that there's like TB outbreaks, but she said, yeah, people test positive all the time, and they have to get treated before they can start. Now, and the nurse said it was because of migrant workers. Now, I have a family member who has a chronic condition, and his immune system is compromised. Like literally, if this person, gets so much as a cold, it can be death dealing. Why would I want to be carrying something like that around him or whatever? So see, I guess what I'm trying to explain is it's not, just Americans being evil. It is protecting your house. It's protecting your house. So, and it's protecting your people. And that's part of the issue. I mean, I hate to get on my soapbox, but there's just there's so many things that are not cool with that situation. Now, on a much lighter note, actually, before I get to the much lighter note, I'm going to talk a little bit about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And speaking of which, I believe it's on Friday. Let me check my show calendar. Yes, on Friday, Stan Larimer is going to be here, who is another Bitcoin expert. And I'm hoping to talk to him a bit about that huge dip that Bitcoin took last week over what teachers refer to as the winter break. And I'm hoping to also touch on data mining. One of my listeners asked if I could look into data mining. And so I kind of have that on my list of things to discuss with my next Bitcoin expert. And I forgot to check my account today to see how it was doing. I actually haven't checked my account in a couple of days. I'm doing like a little bit of minor Bitcoin investing just to see how it's going to go. But I haven't checked it yet. Doug says Bitcoin Anonymous is going, is going nuts. Yeah. So, but somebody believes in Bitcoin, and I'll tell you why. Also in the news today, according to the Wall Street Journal, venture capitalist Pete Thiel, his firm, has majorly invested in Bitcoin. Specifically, the Founders Fund, which was co-founded by Thiel, purchased $15 million of cryptocurrency in mid-2017. And now it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars following Bitcoin's huge gains. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. And he was one of the first mainstream investors to make a big bet on that currency. And by Tuesday afternoon, it rose more than 10%. So that just on the news that Peter Thiel invested that way. So the jury is still out on the cryptocurrency thing. All the experts that I've talked to have basically said the same thing. It's like any other investment. It's like any other thing. Diversify. Rule number one, don't invest money that you don't have to invest. That's absolutely rule number one. And number two, diversify, which is your basic rule of investing. Anyway, never to put all your eggs in one basket. But the gains have been undeniable, but so have some of the losses, I have to say. I mean, one of the experts that I had on recently within the last couple of weeks said that he lost almost a whole Bitcoin, and I can't remember exactly how much money that is now, but it's a tremendous amount of money. And I'm looking at my account right now real quick. I wanted to do some quick math to see if I could kind of ascertain what percent. I'll put it to you like this. I have definitely, my account has definitely gained more than probably any other investment that I would have made. I'll put it like that, percentage wise. It's a ridiculous amount of money. I've only been invested in maybe 3 weeks. And when I say a ridiculous amount of money, I mean the gains was a ridiculous amount. And I'll say this too. The day that it took that major dip last week, I've only had the account for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It dipped down to about my original investment. And then once it straightened itself out, I was like maybe $1. I was still up like maybe $1 or something like that. But I'm still, even with that big dip, I'm still not in loss territory at all. So that's just, like I said, sometimes I'm not a big, what they call in the teaching business, kinetic learner, which is like a hands-on learner. That is not my learning style. I'm a visual learner, but I thought with this, the only way to really understand it was to kind of dig my feet in. And so I have, and I've been keeping an eye on it. But here's the other thing about investing. Cryptocurrency is a long-term investment situation. Cryptocurrency is not, I repeat, not for people who are trying to make a quick buck. Even though you could stand to gain. How do you do it, Doug? What you have to do is find a platform. Well, you don't have to, but if you're a novice, that's recommended. Coinbase is the one that I was introduced to. You could also go through a broker, but I would definitely recommend, I would recommend having someone else recommend a broker. And the reason why one of the reasons why I haven't recommended a broker is because I wanted to work with him for a little while before I did. I am working with a broker. I was introduced through a broker. But I wanted to make sure that I trusted the broker before I recommended the broker to my audience. However, you do want to find a platform, and the platform that you can use, and I wouldn't say it's easy. It's called Coinbase. Actually, I'll go back to the site right now. The name of the company is called Coinbase, Coinbase. Coinbase, feel free to send me a check. But that's the platform. And I didn't find it super easy, and I'm a tech girl. I mean, I taught computer programming for 3 years, and I have a financial background. And I didn't find it super easy to navigate. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't. Not saying that you guys won't. You guys may look at it and say, "Oh, this looks, perfectly simple." And Melanie's a dipstick. The Business Diva is a total dipstick. Very possible. I'm still not all the way comfortable using the platform yet. Like, it's not like using Microsoft Word or something like that, because you're dealing with your money. If you make a mistake, it could be a problem. So, and it's not, when you, thank you, Doug. I trying to be smart, try to educate myself. And, when you get a money market, for example, right? And, you put your money in a money market and you gain like 2% or whatever the ridiculously low interest rate is going to be, because that's a safe, low risk, long-term investment situation. Coinbase is similar, but the problem, if you want to, I shouldn't say Coinbase, cryptocurrency, if you want to call it a problem, I wouldn't call it a problem necessarily, a challenge. Let's put it, I'll word it like that. The challenge is, it's not dollar for dollar. You're buying it. It's almost like when you're going to another country and you are exchanging money for a certain amount. You're exchanging US dollars and the pesos or whatever. That's the way you're buying. So when you get onto a platform like Coinbase, you'll see that you'll have the opportunities to buy maybe 3 right now. What I have available to me, I'll tell you exactly what I have available, is Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin is what I have available to me right now. I am sure that there's more that's available, But that's what's available to me right now to purchase in my particular cryptocurrency portfolio. Oh, you might now, Doug, you're probably going to look at it and pick it up really fast. But I didn't. And that's Doug in the chat for those of you who are listening on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. That's Doug in the Facebook chat, and we're talking about how to go about purchasing cryptocurrency. I would highly recommend that you go through a Coinbase or some company like that. And Coinbase is pretty reputable and pretty well known, like as one of those stable platforms. As a matter of fact, the last, I want to say Kirill Ravensong was the last expert that I had on talking about cryptocurrency, and he actually mentioned Coinbase, and I felt a lot more comfortable because, like, I think the day before I'd started investing. So, I would definitely start there. But that's the only thing to me that it is a bit of a challenge, is just recognizing that you're not investing dollar for dollar. And it's not like you're going to be, it's not like you're going and saying, okay, I'm going to buy, 5 shares of Bitcoin. That's not how it works. You need to know this, that, Bitcoin is based on technology. It's not something that's tangible. It's based on the blockchain, which is a whole nother, which is a whole nother story. Now, I have some experts that talk about the blockchain and about Bitcoin in serious detail, and way further than I could. Now, I also had Mike Fitzpatrick on the show, who's a cybersecurity expert, who off air told me, and I didn't realize this, and he's been a cybersecurity expert for 25 years, that there's an end to blockchains, that like once a blockchain gets too long, it could break. I'm not even totally sure what that means. And then also, and that is something I'm definitely going to ask my expert about on Friday. He is a great guy, Mike Fitzpatrick. But he said, he was telling me, we were talking about it after we got off air, and he was telling me that you can get to the end of a blockchain, the blockchain can get too long and it could break. And then when that happens, it's a problem. And then also you have other countries that are entering the market. You also have the problem of, because there are no government regulations, bad actors taking advantage of that, because one of the advantages and disadvantages of cryptocurrency is that there's no, it's not like the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, regulates cryptocurrency. They don't regulate cryptocurrency. So, that's something I wouldn't say it's something to be concerned about, in as much as it's something to be aware of. Let's just say that. I'll put it like that. So anyway, and other countries are going to enter the market soon. And when that happens, how is that going to affect our market? So that's just something else to be concerned about, something else to think about. We're going to go to a break. And when I get on the other side of the break, yeah, it is risk. It's absolutely risk reward. When I get to the other side of the break, I'm going to talk about how China, one of China's major players, and Financial, ended a $1.2 billion bid to buy U.S. cross-border payment service MoneyGram, and I'll tell you what that has to, how that's tied to. That can be tied to immigration and just in general. We'll talk about that when we get back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we'll be back in a few moments. Welcome to this week's Money Talk with Melanie with your business diva, Melanie Collette. This week, we talk 3 first steps to start the new year off right. Step 1, start tracking your net worth. Your net worth is the difference between your assets and debt. Paying attention to your net worth lets you know whether you should be cutting back or if you can splurge. Step 2, create a financial calendar. Set appointment reminders for things like remembering to pay your quarterly taxes, or periodically pulling the credit report. Finally, step 3, check your interest rates. Checking your interest rates is a great way to determine things like which debts you should pay off first or where you should open a savings account. And that's all for this week's Money Talk Minute with your Business Diva, Melanie Collette. Please remember to listen to Money Talk with Melanie Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central, or 2 p.m. Pacific Time on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your Business Diva, Melanie Collette. I wanted to mention, I saw on the news today, I think I mentioned at the top of the show, that if you are anywhere on the East Coast, we are bracing for a snowpocalypse. Now, I think they're calling it something different. They call it something new every year. It's like Cyclone Ball or something like that, or Fierce Cyclone. Hey, Ricky, how are you? But I was just reading in the financial news today that that stocks, whenever there's some kind of major winter event like this, your Domino's and North Face stocks go up a little bit. So you may want to grab some of that if you are in a position to, because apparently, like they're saying now, we've heard this, it's kind of a boy who cried wolf kind of thing. And we've heard this before where they said that we were going to get, 2 feet of snow, which is what I heard on the news on my way home, to my little studio, is that, we're going to get 2 feet of snow. That Boston's going to get 2 feet of snow. Where I live, here in New Jersey, we're only supposed to get like 7 to 9 inches or something like that. Now, what your kids need to know, especially about the snow, is that if they sleep with their pajamas inside out, that increases the possibility that we'll get snow. That's actually something that the kids always talk about, that the students in school are always like, I don't know, sleep with a spoon under your pillow, sleep with your pajamas on inside out. All of these things will help you get a snow day, according to my students. And they're high schoolers, and so, of course, they know everything. So if you want a snow day tomorrow, if you're one of those people who get to stay home when it snows, you might want to try the pajamas on the inside out method. Just putting that out there. But but in more economic news, you know, there's this one expert that is saying that, you know, although we're having record growth, we've been at 3% above basically since the inauguration. That it's a one-hit wonder. There's a strategist at J.P. Morgan that's saying
we have a new light fit with zero artificial sweeteners. Zero.
That it's not. Sorry about that. That it's not something that's going to be permanent. Which, you know, it's been like months and months of a one-hit wonder. And now that we have the tax reform, I don't quite see it. Which, by the way, I got to get the tax mama, and I didn't take the time to thank my sponsors, Dave Barnett at businessbuyerAdvantage.com and Tax Mama Eva Rosenberg, aka Eva Rosenberg at taxmama.com. By the way, if you have questions about the new tax reform, you definitely want to pop over to her website and ask her a free tax question. She will answer your tax questions for free. And she has 2 best-selling books as well. Small Business Taxes Made Easy and Deduct Everything. So you definitely want to check those out. And I am pretty positive that those books are probably going to be updated very shortly due to the tax laws that are due to the new tax laws, and there are lots of questions. But in the meantime, I would definitely go to her website. And if you are ever curious about, if you're thinking about purchasing a franchise or getting involved in a franchise, it is not as difficult as it used to be. And David Barnett at businessbuyerAdvantage.com has lots of instructional videos and gives you lots of information on how to do that, and also lots of cautions on things that you can avoid. Also in the news, I can't believe I didn't talk about this. And California, well, they didn't legalize marijuana yesterday, but it started being legal yesterday. Marijuana in California is now totally legal. And I actually have been trying to get a guest on the show to talk about cannabis as a business, just from a total business and tax perspective. Listen, where it's illegal, you know, marijuana is totally out of the question for me. I don't think it should. I have a little bit of a problem with it being legalized because I do think it can be a gateway drug. Now, I know people who say, no, I've smoked marijuana for years, never did anything else. But I think there are enough people who are susceptible to that for it to be illegal. And not only that, it's like I know a couple of people who live in California, and basically it's like everyone walks around high. I'm not sure that that's an awesome idea. That like everybody's walking around tweaked. Now, full disclosure, and maybe I shouldn't speak on something that I don't know about personally. I've never, ever touched the stuff. I'd just rather buy shoes. It just never seemed rational to me to like smoke away your money. But, and not for nothing, I've always been too busy to sit around high. Like who really has time for that? But apparently a lot of people do. And there's a lot. Now, I've also run into people. I met a kid over the summer who has had a lot of sports injuries, had a lot of anxiety and depression, and he told me that it helps all of that for him, that he was in enormous pain. He was taking a whole lot of analgesics and painkillers and things like that, and that, of course, is not good for your body. And he said when he started smoking, it eliminated that stuff. I can't say that it eliminated that. Whether or not it does that, I've never done it. I feel it seems to me there's got to be some other alternative to doing drugs. I would hope, but people who sanction it and who are for it say that it's, you know, that it does alleviate a lot of their alleviates their anxiety and it alleviates their pain, and of course, quote unquote, that it's, you know, it's all natural. California was the 6th state to do this in the United States. They legalized it for recreational use. You have to be 21 years or older in order to be allowed to purchase it. And you can grow as many as 6 plants at home. Only in California, my goodness. Now, the cannabis market is forecasted to bring in $7 billion in a few years. Now, the report that I read on LinkedIn said that it says only 90 California establishments have received the necessary approvals to sell marijuana. 90 sounds like a lot to me, because, like, how much do you need? I don't. But again, I've never smoked it. I've never purchased it, so I can't. It's not. I have no frame of reference for what it does, but I personally don't have time to be high, and it's not, and I just don't know that I would ever try. Here, a perfect example of why I don't know. I just think drugs in general are just a bad idea, and you would think that I wouldn't have to say it, but you'd be surprised how many people are like, no, it's healthy, and no, it's good for you, and, you know, I'm so much more productive now that I'm smoking cannabis. And you know, they're trying to eliminate the black market by making it legal. And of course, you always go back to the money. I mean, the state is going to make goo gobs of money. And of course, California needs goo gobs of money to, you know, support all the illegal immigrants that are there. Not just take a shot. I did. But they do. They need the money to support all the other shenanigans that they're involved in. But it's concerning to me that people are walking around high. I mean, they're vaping the stuff. You would never know that that's what they're doing, because they're, you know, remember when e-cigarettes used to be just to help people quit smoking? Well, of course, you know, that industry found out other ways to make money, and now you can vape just apparently just whatever drug it is that gets you high in marijuana. I forget what it is. And like I said, my reference to the drug culture is very, very slim, except for to go ahead and stay away from it. But that's what's going on in California now. It's the 6th state, and people are saying, you know, people who are advocates are saying that it's eventually it's going to be legal nationwide. Oh, and by the way, not for nothing, it's still against federal law. And I don't understand. This is one thing I don't quite understand about our laws. Like, if it's, to me, like, if it's going to be against federal law, then it should kind of, like, by default be against state law, because the states are in the federal, we're in the federal government. Now, this is not to say that we can't make, you know, obviously, because of the Constitution, make certain judgments by state. But when something is illegal, like a substance, it seems to me that, I don't know, you have a lot of conflicts there, and I don't know how that works. Maybe one of my lawyer friends can tell me. Like, how does that work out? Like, if a federal police officer busts you, then you go to jail, but if a state police officer busts you, then you're okay? Or is a federal officer not allowed to arrest you if in your state it's illegal? I don't think so, because it's a federal crime. So I don't know how that works. But here's the bigger issue. Why would you want to deal with that? Like, is smoking weed really worth that? I don't know. Like I said, I've never done it, never had time to do it, never had the money to do it. So it's not something that I get. And And finally, and I'll leave you with this on a much lighter note. 300 high-powered Hollywood women have launched a campaign to combat harassment in the industry, in the entertainment industry, and in blue-collar workplaces. I'm going to say this about that. Like, that's nice that it's happening in workplaces. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day about the fact that, you know, women get harassed all the time. Men, and I'm no liberal. You guys have been following me long enough to know that I'm no liberal. But I will say this as a woman. I, of a certain age, been around the block for a minute. I have, on more than one occasion, personally, been touched inappropriately, as many women have. And you can't punch that person. You can punch them to stop them from further touching you, but they basically get a free pass if they want to just touch whatever they want once. And you can't, like, break their fingers, which is what I feel like doing when that happens to me, quite honestly. I'm just gonna be totally honest. So guys, like, if you're doing that, just like stop. Like, it's not cool. It's a violation of your person. Let me back up. You can file a battery charge too. You can do that. But most women, they're not gonna do that. So it's a problem. And now that you have this whole, and then you have your fair share of false accusations. So you have that as a problem as well. It's just a tough situation. I think, guys, we need you to really step up your game. If you're doing it, stop. If you know other guys that are doing it, don't laugh about it. Don't joke about it, because it's not funny. It's just not. And I hate to leave on a down note, but I feel like I just had to say that because, you know, I had a girlfriend who recently had an experience like that. We're at a party and this guy just like totally feels her up out the blue. What are we going to do? Ruin our entire night and go file a police report? Or just blow it off and keep on pushing? And then he just gets a free feel and just gets to really basically violate her person. It's not right. So, guys, we can't do it without you. We need you to fix it. And I'll tell you what, if you guys fix that, I'll agree to work on fixing the heinous witches who falsely accuse men of doing things when they're completely innocent, because that is definitely a problem as well. Anywho, I'm sorry that my guest didn't show up. My guess is that they forgot that we were on an Eastern time zone, but hopefully we'll be able to nail that down. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I want to thank you guys in the Facebook chat. Thank you guys all out there in SHR Media Land and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. Remember, all of this is very important because, after all, it is your money. Have a great night.